Hey Sam, Galzo made a response to your video.
What?
Yeah, it looks like he's playing Dogmatica cards in Brandon now. Is everything okay?
One moment.
Sam?
Let's ride.
Good morning, gamers. It has been a bit of time since Galzo put up his response to my deck profile, and I understand that you may have been wondering, oh, will I ever respond? Well, it took me a bit because I have been deep in the tank. I had to get a lot of testing in on how I was going to build this new list to really show how Galzo's just doing it all wrong, completely wrong. Now, Galzo recently put out a video, in fact, so it's good timing on that, about how we're not playing Duality correctly. You may see right there. Yeah. He put out this video, and you know, it's okay, but it has some major issues. And it really, I think, doesn't really get at how you're meant to play this card. But don't worry, I figured it out, and I've got the perfect list for how you're meant to play with Duality and Branded. See, this was going to be a look at the more Dogmatica kind of build, but Galzo beat me to it. And I don't want to go into more Puppet Log stuff, because as we know, that is Galzo's territory too. So yeah, we're going firmly into how you go on with Duality, what a Duality build looks like, and how you can really take advantage of it. So we're just going to go and look at the normal ratios to begin with. Not much is going to change in the general Branded deck building, which of course we're going to be on 3 Alibi, going to be on a Tragedy and an Adlib. I'm still playing 2 Quem, and I think it's really good in this build. As of course, as always, 3 Fallen of Albaz, and I am still playing 2 Cartesia as well. If you're playing Fusion Deployment, and Fusion Deployment is going to be really relevant. One of the main goals of the deck here is to make Guinol, because Guinol gets us into a lot of our different lines and options, and so you want to have as many access to Cartesia as possible. I thought about trying out 3, but that feels a little too bricky, too many normal summons and stuff opening at once. Maybe I'd cut a Quem in that case. But yeah, you definitely want to try and turbo into Cartesia. Here's the thing, right? Building Branded right now is kind of interesting because you know you're going to get ashed if you try and build and play around Fusion. So what if we just don't? What if we just play completely around, never even putting Fusion in hand? If we get access to Fusion, that's cool. But what if we just don't even try? We just try and go for Duality stuff, right? So we're playing Albion, of course. It might draw us into Duality. It's just a nice little card. We're playing the Mercuria, and then playing the pretty standard 1 Lubellion and 1 Saronir. Pretty standard main deck, except for, you know, the higher numbers of these, but I think you'll come to understand why we're doing it that way. Okay, moving on to our spells and traps, though. There's a few interesting things here, but I think things you'll understand. Now, standard, obviously, we're playing 3 Branded Fusion, 3 opening gets us into our Quem and stuff, 1 red and 1 lost. Then we're playing, obviously, 3 Fusion Deployment to make sure we get those Cartesias, and 3 Nadir Servant. We have a bunch of good targets in the extra deck for this, and it gets us into our Quem, which can get us into a bunch of cool lines. Really, really strong card. I love playing it. And the star-studded hero of the deck, 3 Duality. We absolutely need to be playing and trying to draw this every single game, to the point where I minimize the total copies down, that we are only playing 40 cards. So just to make sure we draw into it, I was on 43 playing 9 staples, but I realized we don't need the staples, because if Duality resolves, you win the game, right? So yeah, we're just gonna get the resolves, and then playing a little few staples, which is going to be the 1 Call By. We do always need that. The 1 Foolish and the 1 Sark, just all for consistency. And of course our 1 Branded Retribution. And then I'm playing one little more thing in the main. My last few things in the main deck is, here's the thing, right? We're always ending on a Spellcaster. We're always going to be ending on our Granguinol. That's like our main goal, is to end on Granguinol or Cartesia or Dragoon, right? So, you know, what if we just main 3 Secret Village? We're always gonna end on like a Spellcaster, that's like our main goal, so you know, if we can't Miranda Fusion, we'll just make our Ronin unable to play. It beats Cash, it beats the Mirror, it beats a bunch of cool things. So yeah, I think that's very much worth trying out. And we're playing a Shadow's Light to fill the last slot. You know, sometimes you won't draw Duality. I haven't read this, but I assume it does the same thing. Moving on to the extra deck. So, I've had to cut down on the main branded package to fit some Duality targets in, but I really think that it's worth it. So we're only playing the one Albion, the one Lubellion, and the one Mirror Jade as our standard branded fusion package. You can still resolve the line, and you still, if you go into Albion off, go into Mirror Jade off other methods, or just off straight off Lubellion, you still have the Albion to send. I think this is serviceable, and this is all you really need. We don't need to worry about resolving branded fusion, of course. This is just like a bonus if we get to, but it's not a huge priority. So I massively cut down on the package. And while we're at it, look at that. One of these lovely customs I use featuring Jinzo and Giving Puppet Nightmare being shot out of Expulsion, the now banned card, so that's kind of unfortunate timing, but you know. These were designed by Goju Designs on Twitter, I'll link to them in the description. And try and commission them for this other stuff. You can't get these specifically, because this was commissioned for me, but yeah, definitely commission Gochu, they do some really good stuff. Alright, moving on to the next part of the extract, we're obviously playing an Albion. This is, in fact, our first Duality target, because if our Albion is going to get impermed or whatever, we can tribute it off and summon out a Sanctifier, and then you get the Mirror Jade plus Sanctifier. Very, very nice. And there's a couple of things that can make this as well. Just there's a bunch of Dark Dragons we have, so very, very nice. Very, very easy choice to make. Alright, so let's look at the real meat of the extra deck, which is what I'm going to be calling the sacrifices for Duality, which is going to be our Queritus, our Granguinol, of course, and our Masquerade. There's a lot of good options for all of these. Obviously, Greenall is the main one. We want to be going into Dragoon and maybe a couple other things sometimes. But also, Masquerade gets into a couple things, and particularly as of Duelist Nexus, I don't have the card now because it's not out yet, but absolutely you want to pick up a copy of Magnum the Reliever. It's a level 8 Fiend and a Light, and it lets you quick effect pop a card in response to your opponent's stuff, so you can pop floodgates and things, and you know, all it needs is a fusion card grave, which is really easy, and it can also recycle a fusion card like Branded Fusion to the bottom of the deck to get to draw a card, so it's just a nice bit of recursion, you know. Borrowload Furious does a similar thing, but it's a little different to make, and it doesn't give you the recursion that Magnum does. That's pretty nice, but yeah, these are our main sort of sacrifices. We want to be on these, and yeah, they give us a lot of different things we can make. And now we get into the meat. The remaining extra deck is our Duality targets. So first off, obviously, we're on Dragoon. Pretty easy decision. This is our main thing of Granguinol. We're not even playing the Dark Magician because you don't need it. You just need to open Duality. Crazy card, very good to cash. Then we got our Borrowload Furious. We can make this with some fusion spells, but mainly we're using this by attributing Lubellion, or main deck Lubellion in fact, and it just gives us a DP effect essentially. This turns your, you know, if you get impermed on Lubellion or whatever, your Duality is basically 2 interactions, because you dodge the imperm and you're forcing another interaction with the Borrowload Furious. Next up though, this is where we're gonna get a little interesting. So, we really have an issue with time in Branded, you know? There's no great time targets. At one point we had to play the Performer Pal fusion to try and burn in time off our Branded fusion, but I think this is far better. We can actually summon off of Lubellion, same as we would Borrowload Furious. We can summon a Skarlight to burn our opponent for 500 or even more in time. I think this is a pretty easy decision to make sure that we win in time. And you know, we've been saying the Branded Fusion probably resolving, we may not even be activating it, so you know, why not give ourselves more sinkers to make? So let's go and tribute our Aluba for Herald of the Arclight, and this gives us negate. So say we're already fusion locked, right? Opening, deployment, Branded Fusion or whatever. Well, instead of worrying about doing this on turn 1, we can leave our Aluba on field, set Duality, and then tribute him on the turn 2, on the opponent's turn, to summon a Omni Negate immediately, and it also has a little floodgate effect that doesn't affect us too much during the opponent's turn, unless using exactly Quem, but that's fine, we can just avoid that until the Herald leaves the field. Next up, now, we only have the one Mirror Jade, so we need to make sure this Mirror Jade counts. If we don't necessarily resolve our Branded and Red and everything, because we didn't get the Albion engrave or whatever, we need to make sure our Mirror Jade is floating into something that isn't necessarily being revived by Adlib, and that's why we're playing Shai Zhao. The Light Worm, level 8, so we contribute Mirror Jade that's already used this effect, and then we can banish that Mirror Jade from the graveyard to get a negate out, and then we can still revive that Mirror Jade from banish pile with Adlib, doesn't lose us anything, and we just basically get a free negate out of it. I think this is a pretty surefire choice. Next up, you're going to be playing a lot of Bestials in here. I'm particularly siding them, but you're still maining one, so you might as well play a Golden Cloud Beast Malong, and you can send this off with a Deer Servant, or for Grangonol as well to get a bounce. But, you know, it just gets Saronir in graveyards sometimes, which can be difficult to do, which gets you a Foolish, and then you can use it off or whatever, and that just gives you a bounce. Pretty nice. And then there's also the issue. There is this thing that comes up sometimes where I'm going like opening summoning Adlib from deck because it's my only target, or because I've already used Adlib that turn. And it's like the body can sometimes be nice, but that doesn't really contribute to anything, right? What if you need to survive? Well, worry no more, because you contribute your Adlibitum of Despia to summon an El Shaddai construct. As long as your opponent doesn't read the fact that it must be fusion summoned first, you can summon this out and it protects you from a lot of battle stuff. They'll have to figure out a way to out it, and you can do this in the battle phase, so it's going to be pretty difficult for them to do that. Or you can do this proactively on your turn to help punch through a bunch of stuff to get lethal going. Very, very nice card. And you can maybe play a Shaddai package to have it do something when it recycles, send it off Nadir and things like that. Maybe High Spirits. And finally, to fill it out, we have our target to tribute off our Quiritus, in fact, which is our Dark Fiend, which is Groza, Tyrant of Thunder. So what this guy does is you can discard a card to just imperm a monster, which is a really sick effect. Let me reread that real quick just to make sure I'm not, you know, messing with you guys. It's been I haven't had full time to test this all the way, but I guarantee you I've had a few hundred games in with him. It's just difficult to remember sometimes. Yeah. So during your opponent's turn, you can quick effect target one monster on the field. You discard a monster, and then you negate that monster's effect until the end of the turn. And then if a fiend is sent from your hand to grave, so say you happen to be playing some fiends and you discard one, you can make it so this can't be destroyed by card effects, or can't be targeted, or can't be destroyed by battle. So you got a wall that they can't get over, and you get an imperm monster. All you have to do is discard a fiend. That can't be too difficult. You could be playing the Edge Imp package, and then there you go. It just gives you the Edge Imp effect, plus you get an Imperm monster. And all you have to do is tribute Quiritus, and Quiritus probably isn't doing anything after it's already used its effect. So yeah, it's just a free Imperm effect. Pretty good, right? Well, yeah, that's our extra deck. I think this really just shows the power of Duality and just the sheer range of things that if you play an extra deck like this with Duality, you're just always going to have a target. You're never going to have Duality dead in hand. You're always going to have something you can summon by tributing something. And I think that's the way you play this correctly to make sure it goes smoothly. And you've still got plenty of other options in the extra deck. Plenty of other things to summon out. It's not really... I know people often say that the branded extract's really tight and that you struggle to fit things in, but look at this, we've got everything we can possibly need in the game, plus a bunch of bonus cards. I don't think there's any issue. I think this is perfect. I think it's exactly what you need in any matchup this meta. But of course, there is the last question, which comes to the side deck. Now, don't worry, I've been working on that too. So, I've got this split into sort of two categories, which is going to be our sort of main side deck of the general sort of stables you're playing, but then I've got the additional stuff we're going to need as well. So first off, I'm playing Peekaboo this format. It beats a lot of decks. We can play under it pretty easily, especially with all these different types and targets. Yes, this does kind of conflict with Duality. You're probably going to have to side out Dualities to put this in, but don't worry, I've accounted for siding out Duality in this side deck as well. We're also playing some back row hate, because that's one of the main things Miranda struggles with, so just... Cosmics and Duster, pretty typical. And then I'm playing Chaos Hunter this format. I think this is really good right now. It beats Cash, it beats Runic, it stops a bunch of other plays, it stops... sometimes I side this in a lot in the mirror, actually, going second, because... Or even going first, because you can Green All send this or revive it back with Sanctifier, and then your opponent just can't really interact with you. They can't Bestial you and things like that. It's good into Dragon Link. Like, there's only a couple decks that this isn't really good against. And even, like, Labyrinth, I mean, I wouldn't put this in against Labyrinth, but it does stop a couple things. This card's really, really, really strong, and I would absolutely recommend playing it. And you can only side in the one when you're going first, because you can just send it off Green or revive it, and yeah, really, really strong hand trap. I would very much recommend playing this, regardless of what build you're on, honestly, with Branded. Looking at the final little selection of this half is obviously we're playing some Bestials, which makes our Malong more live, which is I'm going to be playing 2 Magnamut, 1 Druisworm, and 2 Baldrake. The Bestials are really, really good into Evil Twin, they're really, really good into the Mirror, and they're really, really good into Dragon Link. They're good into Furniture Lab, especially. Like, there's so many good things to hit through these right now, and I would absolutely recommend siding these, and I think 6 is the optimal sort of number to have in your deck in the game too, to make sure you actually draw them. I think more would just be bloating up the side deck a bit too much. So yeah, that's the main bulk of the side deck. We've got a few more things. So yeah, you know, if you're siding at Duality, you might think, oh, Scott, Sam, if you're siding at Duality, the whole deck falls apart because the whole extra deck's based around it. No, because we are siding the rest of the extra deck. So yeah, we have the Lilith, we have the Chimera, our Dragostat, you know, we have Titan, Rinbrum, a second Mirajade, a second Albion, and an Albulenitus. This is more for the Dragon Link matchup specifically. You know, it's just, you know, one of our extra cards for siding. So yeah, you just side out Dualities, put in Tikus, then put in all these, and there you go. You take out all the Duality targets, and perfect. You're just back to a normal build. You know, I think that's kind of cowardly, but you do you. And then I got a couple more things. I've been trying out a bit of a fun thing recently with branded side decking, and that is I'm always trying to find the funniest target to someone with Sanctifier. Now, I don't really play Sanctifier very often, but I always like to test and see what funny things you can do, so I have 2 cards you can try with Sanctifier that can both be sent off of your Grangrenol and set up on your turn 1, and that is Invader of Darkness. I'm sure you're familiar with this. This says your opponent can't activate runic spells, essentially. You can't activate any quick plays. It can stop Spry Starter, but the main thing is this just ends the game against runic because they can't out it. And then we, of course, have Mind on Air. This card is very funny. It is, while it's on your field, your opponent has to reveal their hand. This is an FTK against Vanquish Soul, because they cannot activate any of their effects, but it's also pretty good into a bunch of decks to just have the thing that your opponent just tells you every card in the hand. They have to show you everything, and they, you know, you just know all the information you possibly need, know what you need to interrupt. So yeah, that's our entire side deck. I know it's like a little complicated, a lot of ideas going on there, but I think it's pretty concise and pretty justified. I don't think there's much you can have too much of a problem with there. So yeah, that's the profile. Pretty much just a nice little quick summary of how you should be building around Duality and how, in honesty, it is the best brand of support we've ever had. I'm gonna keep playing this even if they ban Brand Diffusion. I think this, you know, just makes the deck tier 0 as it is. I don't think you even need Brand Diffusion. I honestly might cut it down to 2 next list. You'll also have to find out next time. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.